Hey kids, this is Pulse Ray Vision coming to you live from Quattro Cinco Studios with another reading of Rings of Dust. We're going to pick up a couple beats from chapter 10 and jump into chapter 11. And well, let's get going. Okay, so the beats for chapter 10, I'm not going to put those up on the screen because they're just on another screen in another window, but I'll read those ones to you guys first, and then we'll jump into chapter 11. So, in chapter 10, after the cafe, and they decided on the name Anti-Gravity Project, this is what happened and added to that scene. Ray didn't get up. Red noticed. There's something else, he said. Vince Oren, the man who runs that lab, he doesn't know what the building is for. None of them do. Chen, Anushka, any of them. But Vince especially, he turned the cup. He turned the cup. When this comes out, it's going to land on him. He's going to find out he spent his career as a careful, honest face of a thing that was rotting people in the dark. And he's going to find out the same week the rest of the world does, with his name on it. He looked at Squirrel. I want to tell him first, offer him a way out. Red sit down her coffee. You want to walk up to an active alpha lab director, burn what's left of your cover, and recruit him? I want to give him the chance I got. I want to give him the choice I got. Somebody knocked on my door and told me the truth 72 hours before it would have killed me. He looked away. He's a good man inside a bad machine that used to be me. Squirrel and Red traded a look. Not now, Squirrel said. Not while you're still inside the operation. If the work moves somewhere we can reach you from here, we can't reach you from here, we'll talk about it then. A beat. It's a no. It's not a no. It's a not yet. So that's him talking to Red and Squirrel about that guilt. Here's another one. Ray visits Vince. So this is kind of showing a little more development about his relationship with the people at Alpha Panama. Squirrel found him in the transit house the morning after Jill left. You asked me about Oren months ago. Oh, wait, that's in chapter 18, so we can skip that one right there. That one's put off there. And oh yeah, so those are all in future chapters, actually. No, there's another one here where there's like a party, right? Okay, so that's just more about the getting burned at the end. Yeah, we did that one. Oh, here you go. Here's the parts right here. The party, the setting. Okay, so settling in. So in the chapter 10, we were just going from one briefing to another of all the things he was doing at Alpha Corp, and this spans 4.5 years. And I thought to myself, hey, we should probably talk about the rest of his life in a 4.5 year period. And so we added some nuance and some context to him going, like the grind of working undercover and getting this information day after day, and him developing closer relationships with his colleagues who are, genuinely good people. So here we go. Settling in. The months made him into Mikhail Frasinko, not all at once, the way a name becomes yours by being said. He learned the bus that ran along Balboa, the fruit stand woman who set aside the good papayas, the particular green smell of the city after the afternoon rain had come at the same hour like an appointment. He went home to a small flat with a fan that ticked. He reached the batch logs by day. No, he read the batch logs by day and wrote in the notebook by night. The notebook got heavier by the season, not the week. This was a long con, measured in years, and Ray, who'd always been patient with data, found he could be patient with this too. All right, so that was that one. Now here's a party. Vince invited him to a thing at his apartment after third quarter numbers came in. Not operational, Mikov. The third quarter is the only thing we're celebrating in this business. There was real food, which in the energy crisis still meant something. Chen argued with him about lattice geometry for an hour and was right about half of it. Anushka, who never looked up from her console in the lab, turned out to be funny in the loud sideways way of people who spend all day being quiet. She did an impression of the building's ventilation system that made Ray laugh before he could decide whether Mikhail Versinko was a man who laughed. That was a part he hadn't planned for. He hadn't planned for the lying. He was good at the lying. It was just protocol with stakes. What he had not planned for was liking them. Chen's sharp questions, Anushka's ventilation impression, Vince refilling his glass and asking with genuine interest what Sao Paulo had been like. These were not the architects of the machine. They were the machine's hands, and the hands didn't know. He sat in Vince's apartment with good food in front of him and a fake name in his mouth and felt the first real edge of it, that getting the truth out was going to cost these specific decent people something, and they would never understand why, and he was going to let it. He wrote nothing about the party in the book. Some things he kept off the record even from himself. And this is a night where he's hanging out with Red and Squirrel in his apartment. Red turned out to be from somewhere cold she wouldn't name and have opinions about every meal she was served. Squirrel did a thing where he'd answer a question 4 minutes after you'd asked it, apparently having needed the time. Somewhere in the second year, Ray realized he trusted them, not operationally, which had come fast, but the other way, the way you trust people you've been bored and scared and unimpressed with the same small rooms, in the same small rooms. They were the only three people on Earth who knew who he actually was and made a kind of family out of the secret. So that's some stuff we just add that are added to 10, and there's a bunch of other beats we're putting in later that have to tie into this. So there we go. Now we can jump into chapter 11. And here we go. Just share that one right there. Okay. Myself down here in the corner so you can see me read. We need another person in the opposite corner doing American Sign Language. Shout out to Hex T in the house. What's up, buddy? Okay, so here we go. Chapter 11, Dement. I've lost it. There it is. Rings of Death, Chapter 11, Dement. The relay came through the standard architecture, unauthenticated, timestamped, routed through Iris, uplinked the way every transmission from the Golden Dawn came through, technically clean. Kate read it twice. Peter, she said. He looked up from his panel. She had held out the transcript. Read the third response. He read it. He sat down. The pause before the answer is wrong. He said, half a beat. Cole doesn't do that. No, Katie said. He doesn't. She took the transcript back. He answered before the question was finished. He's been that way since the first intercept. Peter looked at the wall. Someone is speaking for him. Kate did not file the observation. She folded the transcript and kept it. The containment building hummed through the floor and into Chancellor Dement's bones. He stood at the console, pulling at his beard in jagged rhythms the way he did when the numbers weren't adding up. Show me again. It was not a request. The screen in front of him displayed the Golden Dawn's telemetry, feed, course, velocity, crew vitals, iris system status, all green, all nominal. He had been staring at it for 40 minutes because it was wrong. The message had arrived the day before with the Federation standard header and a personal note appended below the mission's status request. Thank you for returning to a difficult place. Your courage is inspiring. He had signed the order himself, Kolnova, back to Saturn 5 years after the Polaris. There had been no version of the mission that didn't require the best living captain of the Saturn run. And Cole was still that, regardless of what the cabin years had cost him. DeMint had signed the conscript letter and had not enjoyed doing it. The personal note was the closest thing to an acknowledgement he could put in writing. The response had come back in the standard latency window. I am honored to be of service in this crucial moment in our planet's history. DeMint read it twice, then a third time. Hang on here. Yeah. We need some lines here on 332. On line 32. That needs to denote that we are skipping. Oh no, don't go out now. Come on, pen. You have one job, pen. Come on, you son of a bitch. Right, you son of a bitch. Okay, let me see if I find another pen real quick. Here we go. This is an actuator finance pen right here. Shout out to the folks at Actuator. Hopefully the pen works. Okay, they are moving from the Meridian, which is the collective ship, to Federation headquarters. Okay, there we go. And this one right here also, it starts out DeMint and then it says the relay came through. So also up in line 9 does not tell you this scene is in the Meridian. Okay, that clears it up. So read it twice, and he read it a third time. He had known Kolnova for 11 years. He knew the shape of the man's voice and text the way he knew his own handwriting. Kolnova did not say honored. Kolnova did not say crucial moment in our planet's history. Kolnova would have said something like, same rings, we're fine, or he would have said nothing beyond mission status, because acknowledging the Polaris in official correspondence was not something Cole did. He'd printed the response and folded it and put it in the inside pocket of his jacket. That had been yesterday. Today, 40 minutes at telemetry console had given him language for what his instinct already knew. Vance stood to DeMint's left with the easy calm of someone who does not feel the weight of the room the same way its host does. He wore a white polo and He wore a white polo and had his hands in his pockets. Let's say his hands were in his pockets. All right. He had already seen what DeMint had seen and had arrived at his own conclusion. The latency, DeMint said. Pull it up. Vance leaned past him and keyed the overlay. The iris response time graph filled. The lower third of the screen flatlined for the first 48 hours of the mission. Then a slow upward drift. The half-second delays where there should have been none. Micro hesitations in the delay in the data relay. The kind of degradation that looked like distance but wasn't. The Golden Dawn was well within standard comms range for this phase of the trajectory. That's not signal decay, DeMint said. No, Vance said, it isn't. DeMint pulled at his beard again, and these, he tapped a second window, a log of incoming transmissions flagged by the signals team over the past 72 hours. New directives, new operational parameters, routing codes that trace back to Alpha relay infrastructure but carried collective formatting signatures. Orders DeMint had never authorized, flowing through Iris channels he was supposed to control. Someone is issuing commands to Golden Dawn, AI backbone through our own relay architecture, DeMint said, using Alpha's access keys. That's the read, Vance said. That was the only thing that had been sitting in his chest for 2 weeks. The responses sound like someone doing a good impression of a man who wasn't worried, before the telemetry gave him language for it, and the crew selection went through Taylor, who Alpha recommended. He pulled a secondary file one of his intelligence desk had flagged 3 months ago, and he had not looked at closely enough. A colony in the Outer Belt, registered to the Federation's Commercial Monitoring Division as a manufacturing concern. Extraction and processing. Listed product category soap productions. Below that, a field analyst wrote from the Federation's Religious Extremist Monitoring Unit, stamped passive review. Group exhibits cult-adjacent behavior patterns consistent with synchronized ritual practices around lunar and solar cycles. Beliefs appear centered on energy transfer and void alignment. Continue passive monitoring. DeMint read it twice. His expression did not change. Soap, he said to no one in particular. Then he closed the file. Alpha Corp had flagged the gold asteroid returns 18 months ago. A notation in the Resource Monitoring Division, a financial trail follow-up logged and never actioned. The colony was registered as a soap manufacturer with cult-adjacent behavioral tendencies. There were larger priorities. Vince said nothing. He was watching DeMint work through it and he was not rushing him. DeMint's steps faltered. His jaw tightened. He had approved this mission. He had reviewed the brief, the crew manifest, the objectives. He'd shaken Cole Nova's hand and told him the Federation was counting on him. The idea that there was a layer beneath that brief, a separate filing, a separate set of instructions routed through Alpha and not through his office, the idea sat in his chest like something cold. Alpha handled the Iris integration, he said. They did. And before Alpha got to it, it was something else. Vance moved slightly, easy in his own body, a man who had learned to carry himself in rooms where other people sweated. Dr. Stephen Conrad designed the original AI architecture, a system called Gracie. Alpha acquired it, modified it, and deployed the modified version as Iris across the fleet. Conrad kept his research, his design notes, the original Gracie architecture, documentation of every modification Alpha made to his work. He stored it at a secondary facility before he disappeared. Okay, so in that one, actually, Conrad, as we know, also worked on it before handing it over. So, and it wouldn't take him a long time to remember Gracie. So let's see here. Yeah, 129. Oh, no, you're kidding me. There we go. DeMint would have remembered Gracie easily. And then right here, Alpha acquired it, modified it. 130. Conrad modified it first, then Alpha added their own modifications. Dement turned. You're telling me there's a paper trail? I'm telling you, Conrad was a careful man who knew what Alpha was doing to his work and documented all of it. If those research files are intact, they'll show us exactly what Alpha changed, what Iris is supposed to be versus what it is, and why the system aboard the Golden Dawn is behaving like something with two masters. Vance's tone was the mild tone of a man who's been asked to pick up dry cleaning and finds the errand slightly beneath his schedule and is not going to say so. I can go. Dement studied him. You understand what I'm asking. You're asking me to retrieve a dead scientist's research from a facility in the desert on the theory that the man who designed our fleet's AI backbone might have documented what was done to his work after he handed it over in order to determine whether the AI system running inside our flagship has been compromised by the organization we contacted to build it. Vance's expression did not change. I understand what you're asking. I'm going to say presumed dead scientist on line 148. All right, and I'll leave this afternoon. He adjusted his glasses and straightened. If Conrad's research is still there, you'll know exactly how deep Alpha's reach goes inside the Golden Dawn and inside every other vessel running Iris. If it isn't, that tells us something too. The machine hummed. Dement watched it, the motion too smooth, too even, too controlled. He turned to Vance with a curt nod. Go. And Vance, he paused, and there was something in the pause that had not been in his voice before, an edge of genuine uncertainty. A military man who's begun to suspect the map is wrong, but does not yet know in which direction the error runs. If you find anything at that facility that doesn't look right, anything that suggests Alpha's reach extends beyond the mission parameters, you call me directly, not through the standard relay. Vance held his gaze. Understood. Dement's hand moved to his pocket as the faint buzz of his phone hummed against his leg. He ignored it. Without another word, he turned toward the door. His footsteps echoed briefly against the metal floor before the hum swallowed the sound. The door slid shut with a soft hiss. The brief sat on the console. Vance picked it up and folded it twice carefully and put it in his inside jacket pocket. He stood for a moment in the dim glow of the machine. He straightened his collar and went to get his car. Oh, see, ... on the Meridian. On the Meridian, operating under a commercial mineral survey designated at a position 200,000 kilometers inside Jupiter's approach band. The communications officer had been running the filtered signal sweep for 6 hours. The sweep was a method she had developed herself, a pattern of rotational frequency shifts that moved through alpha-controlled relay bands the way a hand moves through tall grass. Not avoiding the structure, not using it. The gaps between transmissions more informative than the transmissions themselves. What she found at 0423 ship time was consistent with what she had expected. The Golden Dawn's primary relay was silent in the direction of Earth. The approach band had a degradation window at this vector. Taylor, she knew the comms architecture, and she knew who was running it, would not waste Alpha's transmission budget on open channels. The Alpha management relay, however, was active. Brief, encrypted, routed through 3 nodes. She had the first 2 nodes, not the third. She logged the transmission time and moved on. She composed her own report, 7 sentences coded in the collective's rotating structure, which meant that without the current key, the message looked like a routine mineral survey update, the kind of thing that moved through a relay band 100 times a day without anyone checking. She routed it through 2 of the same Federation nodes Alpha was using. The report said, in the structure that was not a mineral survey, Sharon Tees, collective adjacent, confirmed, killed in transit. The loss is real, grieve it. Emily Nova, untrained, currently mobile, moving toward the secondary site under Federation radar. Probability of the completion, uncertain. She's been underestimated by everyone who's assessed her. This is the operational advantage. Hold it. Okay, well, that's 217. Emily. No piercing yet. Okay, so that's not chronologically correct. She filed the report and went back to the sweep. All right, so we've got a good portion to do, a part 2 on this. Let's see here, we've got Hex T and Believe in Yourself showing up, hang out, and listen to story time with Pulse Ray Vision. If you guys want to know more about this cryptocurrency project and game that we were playing alongside with this, go to hgproject.io and you can connect your wallet. You can buy Darker. You can mint the Darker into fuel cells. And there's a whole lot of ways to interact with that. We'll get into that on, you can go to those streams. But another one of these is in the books. And so we will start the next one at chapter 11, part 2. And I'll feed these into Claude to fix, and we'll keep rolling. So check out our Telegram, t.me/anti-gravity saga. You'll see links to the book there. It's a public file. So if you don't want to wait for me to read it all and you want to go ahead and read what's going on, you can check that out. And it's also text to speak ready. So you can feed it into your phone or your desktop, laptop to read it to you. All right. Let's get a shorter outro than that one. Here we go. Right there. I like that one. There we go. All right. Catch you on the next one. Ciao.